This morning, being a Tuesday, we have what we call Parenting Tuesday, and we'll be talking about how to parent our children, especially in this season. But that's coming up shortly. Before we get to that, I want to take a look at the local dailies and just get to find out what are some of the stories that are really making headlines on this beautiful day. Standard newspaper, pandemic hits home. Kenya enters dangerous phase of coronavirus pandemic with community transmission of disease, meaning the virus is no longer coming from outside and it's instead spreading from within. That's a dangerous phase, my friend. That's the phase where now you begin to see the numbers exploding and multiplying. There's a quote here from the Health CS, Mutai Kagwe. He says, from the above data, it is evident that the virus is being spread through community transmission. Community transmission means the disease is no longer being imported, but it's here with us. We are now spreading it amongst ourselves. And then also Acting Director General Ministry of Health Patrick Amot said, those are the numbers we are prepositioning to see how we will manage our quarantine facilities and human resources due to our youthful population. It is possible people will get the virus and pass it just as mild illness. So current numbers 50. You can look at the statistics on the front page of the Standard newspaper. It's red alert as pandemic hits home with new cases. That's the story in there. I saw something here about Nigeria. There's a picture here of a new coronavirus isolation and treatment center at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena in Lagos, Nigeria. They are setting up spaces to be able to take care of their people. And this story says, pandemic vital lessons for Kenyans, something worth looking at. Industries and businesses being affected. Hotels face drop in revenue as pandemic hits occupancy rate. That's another story in there. Brewers plan as shutdown of bars sees beer sales declining. That's another area that's been affected. Also, the entertainment industry. Pandemic stops music as top artists bow out. This is the story of Manu Dibango and Alus Mabele. You can take a look at that in the Standard newspaper today. Going on to the center pages, we have the Financial Standard pullout this morning, and it's all about Safaricom. What's the big story? Let me see if I can get it for you. The big story is Peter Ndegwa's tough call. Safaricom's new CEO takes over tomorrow as Kenya faces its biggest financial and social challenge yet. His tenure hinges on how he navigates the company through the threat of coronavirus and the aftermath. In the Daily Nation, the big story, coronavirus exposes crisis in Kenya's ICU. I don't think it's exposed. I think we've just known it all along. We've just been ignoring it. Now, I think it's a great opportunity. I pray. Let me say the way sometimes I hear the president saying, my fellow Kenyans, I pray that we will take lessons and learn them from this coronavirus issue, especially in the way we elect our leaders, because sometimes we get in a frenzy and we elect our people. And sometimes our people have no clue what to do in situations like this. Somebody says, when a pandemic like this hits, the politicians keep quiet and the true leaders come to the surface. So, jiulize, mbunge wako anafanya nini? What is your governor doing? What is your senator doing? Are they doing anything? Countries in a panic over ventilators. There's a table here on the different counties in the Kenyan country and the number of beds they have and the beds that are in use. And it is sad. It is a sad state of affairs. It's a wake-up call for us. Doctor survives sack after refusing to work. Healthcare workers in public hospitals across the country lament on lack of protective gear. That's also another story that we need to look at, issues that we really need to address. So there's quite a bit on the coronavirus pandemic across the globe, what different countries are doing, how we are handling the situation here, our numbers and all. And then in the back pages, we have something on sports as well. Postponement looms in African football calendar amid deadly virus. So, my friend, those are some of the stories we will find in the local dailies today. Grab yourself a copy, keep yourself informed on what's happening both locally and internationally. Now, in the next short while, we'll get into a discussion talking about parenting and exactly how do we parent our children in this pandemic era that we are facing. What do we tell them? What don't we tell them? Can they get anxious? Are they anxious and we don't even know it? We'll look at all that. That's coming your way in the next short while. How are you doing? Welcome to Parenting Tuesday. Every Tuesday, we tackle issues that help us become better parents, more so in this generation where there's a lot happening. Currently, the world is in panic. We are trying to find solutions to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we've talked about several issues regarding this coronavirus issue, and I think we've forgotten our kids. So this morning we want to talk about our kids and how to parent them throughout this season. In studio with me, Faith Masambia, who's a child psychologist. It's good to have you on the show again. Karibu sana.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Asante.
Umeosha mikono.
Nimeosha mikono. Nimetumia sanitizer, everything. Yes.
I'm just wondering, Faith, because we've dealt with quite a number of issues regarding the coronavirus pandemic. We've talked about money issues and how to survive. We've talked about how do you work from home. Last week we talked about just managing emotional health, but we talked about the adults.
Yeah.
Do you think it's important for us to also focus on our children's emotional health in this season?
Definitely. I'm sure any child will have a lot of questions about why they're not going to school, why do we have to stay locked up in the house the whole day, why can't we interact with other children in the neighborhood that we are home. So it raises a lot of questions, and it's difficult to understand, and also just this perspective of this thing outside that's infecting everyone.
Yeah.
You know, it's for a child that will not make very good sense. You know, it does not make sense why all this is happening. So it's important to find ways to take care of their emotional health, help them process what is happening, being very clear and honest about what this coronavirus is, how to protect yourself, why is it that we need to stay away from other people. What do we mean when we say flatten the curve? What do we mean when we say social distancing and self-isolating and all those terms that sound so big
why are we in a curfew?
For a child? Why are we in a curfew? What is a curfew?
Yeah.
Why do you have to be home by 7? And
some of them are getting to see their dads.
Yes, for the first time in a very long time.
Yes.
Not dads, but parents. I mean, we live in a society where there's so many pressures, and out of no fault of their own, parents have to be out there working for long extended periods of time, and they do lack out on that interaction with their children. Yeah.
One of the things I've seen a lot of people going through, and even just looking at some of the SMSs that came in during the session of prayer, is a lot of people are anxious and fearful.
Yes.
Can kids as well be anxious and fearful? And how would they express that?
You know, if children mirror the emotions of their parents.
Yeah.
So if I'm seeing my parent being anxious, being fearful, then I get fearful, because if my parent, who's supposed to be my hero, my protector, is worried, is anxious, then that will definitely trickle down to me. Yeah. But if the parents are able to keep calm, to realize, to manage their own stress around the coronavirus situation, then they're also by doing that, they're also able to protect their children. Yes.
Okay. How do they manage their own stress levels? Because last week when we were talking about this, there's a gentleman who had called in, and he said he's a casual manual laborer. Anafanyaga kazi ya mjengo. And he said, you know, right now there isn't work to do. I'm just at home. The kids are home. They're asking many questions. The wife is asking for this and this. I'm just stressed. I feel like I need to go out and watch football with the boys. I can't even do that. I feel like I have no outlet for this stress because I'm just locked in the house. Nikienda mbali sana ni kwa neighborhood. So how do we manage this stress so that we don't project it to our kids?
Okay. There are very many ways to manage stress, and the first step is always to remind yourself that you're not alone. Everybody is struggling with this in one way or another. So it's not an issue that is unique to you. Yeah, the circumstances might be different from individual to individual, but we are all We're all struggling with this.
Very true.
And it's important to remind yourself that take a break. Yeah? Take a break. If you feel like you need to lock yourself up in your room and pray for 30 minutes,
Yes.
do it. I mean, that is a way to relax. That's a way. Meditation is a very good way to relax. Yeah? Take a walk. Yeah? Just take a walk. Yeah? For the kids who are asking many questions, find them activities to do. Yeah?
Okay.
If you're just sitting around and looking at each other and constantly following up on the updates, I mean, you're going to get stress. So take the time away from social media. Say that today we're having an internet and TV free day, and do other activities like let's play together. Let's jump rope. Let's play cards. Let's play a game. You know, let's go back to those games of our childhood.
Yes, Katina Blada.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Yes,
they kept us active.
Very true.
Okay,
You know, I was wondering, Faith, because it's something I noticed with myself, and I had to make a deliberate decision. Like now this week, I'm not on social media. I'm just there to post my devotion, and then I'm out. I realized I'm spending too much time trying to see what's happening here. Who is saying this? Who is saying this? And in our homes, it's like that.
Yeah.
You know, the TVs are on, the tablets are on, you know, the internet is on. We are always trying to find updates. How many have died in Italy? How many have died in the States? How many in Kenya? How many in South Africa? This influx of information, which is not necessarily good information, as in good news,
Yes.
what does it do to the child?
It overwhelms the child. Yeah.
Because we don't think about the child.
No, we don't think about the child because, you know, for you, you're able to break it down in bits
Yes.
and understand.
Yes.
But for them, it's a big mountain. Yeah. So you need to limit the exposure to TV. Yeah. WHO has actually come up with a very good guideline for healthy parenting during this time.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they say that it is important to set time for each child. And one way of setting time for that child is to limit interaction, switch off the TV, put away your mobile phone. Don't, you know, it's normal for parents these days that when your child is being overwhelming, here is Cocomelon, or here is this, or here is this, so they can get distracted from that. But limit that interaction. Yeah, focus on playing games with them. Yeah. Figure out what game does my child want to play today. Build blocks with them. Yeah. If they're a teenager, do exercises with them.
Yes.
Yeah. Go for a walk. Yeah. Do activities in the house. You can cook together.
Yes.
You can bake together. Yeah. You can set up a structure where you're cleaning the house together.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be mommy's or daddy's job only. Yeah. Have them clean their rooms. For little children, have them put away their toys in an organized fashion and things like that. So, in as much as possible, try to limit the time that you spend in front of the TV. Yeah. In front of your mobile phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all that stuff, all that information, I mean, it is overpowering for a child, but also when you're doing it all over and over again during the day for an adult, it becomes overwhelming. And you need to hold yourself back from that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I saw a video that was trending over the weekend. I don't know what apartments that was.
Yeah.
You saw it?
Was it the one for the Sunday school where they were singing Father
for the Abraham?
Yeah.
I was so blessed. If you haven't seen that video, it's a video of some apartments. I don't know where it is, but it looks like somewhere here in Nairobi, maybe Kilimani area or Kileleshwa area.
Yes.
And the children and their parents are on their balconies. And they're having Sunday school, and they're singing Father Abraham had many sons. It was such a glorious thing to see.
That was really cute.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
So, give us more creative ideas. You've talked about cleaning with them. You've talked about things we can do with them. But I'm just wondering, how do we disseminate information to them? Because they need to know what's happening. But I think we need to give them information. What is necessary to tell them, what is not, and how do we inform them without alarming them? Yeah.
Be open and listen to them. Listen to the questions that they have about what is going on.
Yeah.
And be honest in how you communicate with them about what is really happening. Answer the questions as truthfully as you can. Think about how old your child is and how much they're able to understand, and feed them that information according to how they'll be able to understand. And be supportive also of your child. Give them the space to share how they're feeling. Let them know that you're there for them as a parent to protect them. So this thing does not have to feel so overwhelming for them, because you're there for them to help them work through this. Yeah. There are so many stories that they're going around that may be true or not. So you want to just listen to your child and see what do they think about what is happening, what is going through their minds. It's a very good way to figure out what is actually going through their minds. Yeah. So what do you think after we watched the address of the minister together? Ask them, so what do you think about that? What do you think about what he said? What do you think that we should practice to protect ourselves even more? So having those conversations are very important.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any questions for us this morning? 20316 is the SMS line, and the WhatsApp number is 0786 316 316. We are talking about parenting in this COVID-19 pandemic season. How do we help our children? How do we parent them? The do's and don'ts, what information do we give them? Maybe you've experienced some challenges, or you've done something that is working for you. We would love to hear from you. So we're inviting you to be part of this conversation. Remember, once again, SMS is on 20316, WhatsApp on 0786 316 316. And it is Parenting Tuesday. We're talking about how to parent our children through this season that we are facing. In studio with me, Faith Masambia, child psychologist, helping us to gain a deeper understanding of the do's and don'ts and how to navigate through these murky waters that we find ourselves in. We have a pandemic and we have a curfew and we are in our houses. I'm telling you, lethal combination if you ask me. So if you have any questions for us, 20316 is the SMS line. WhatsApp number is 0786 316 316. Faith, I was wondering, is it important to maintain a schedule with our children? Because it can very easily get to a place where it's just free for all.
Yeah.
You know, the other day I was telling my daughter, you cannot be waking up at 10. No. No. Yeah? We need to have a schedule now. Yeah, because you can start sleeping here until midday. Yeah. At night you watch a movie until late. You play your video games, or you do whatever it is you're doing, your crayons and everything. You sleep late, and then you wake up at midday. That's not good. I don't know what you think about having a schedule.
It's very important during this time to maintain a schedule, because you remember when the kids were in school, they were used to a certain routine, and that's the thing that kept them going. They knew what to anticipate and when. And kids are a creature of habits. Human beings are also creatures of habits, and we do tend to do better when we know what is coming, what to expect. Yeah. So come up with a schedule for your kids. You can sit down together and draw it up together.
Yeah.
It shouldn't really be too strict. It can be a little bit flexible. Allow for some free time.
It's quick kama
shule where it's alarm and bell and all that. But it will be good if you say, let's all wake up at this time. Let's make breakfast together, and then let's have breakfast together. Okay? Let's use some time to clean our room, clean dishes and things like that from this time to this time. Then from this time we sit down and we read a little bit. And then in the afternoon we take a nap, because why not? We have the time now.
We can do it.
Yeah, we can do it. You know, take a nap. When we wake up, let's go for a walk if we can, or let's skip rope, or do some exercises within the house. Then let's make dinner together, or have a snack, or something like that. Having some sort of structure in the day, make sure that the kids are also expending their energy, because kids have so much energy. And if they're not expending that energy in healthy ways, it's going to come out in climbing on top of the TV and breaking things, and In fact,
I was going to ask, how do you deal with that? Because the kids can be all over the place, and it's it's an atmosphere and an environment that can cause you to snap. You're thinking about this job, maybe you've been laid off or you're on half salary.
Yeah.
You don't know when you're going back. All these updates, what, curfew.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very easy for you to snap on your kids. They want to jump on the sofas. They're hanging from the balcony.
Everything.
They broke the TV.
Yeah.
How do you deal with all that?
They keep going to the fridge.
Yeah. Ile mkate nimenunua asubuhi imeisha.
Yeah, they finished the food that was supposed to last a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the most important thing is to keep modeling the behaviors that you want to see.
Okay.
When you come up with a structure, the kids want you to see them doing these things with them. So you don't say, clean your rooms, and then you go to your room and you go back to take a nap. Or you say, clean your room, and you go back and sit in front of the TV. So you want to lead by example. Join your kids, even if it's with the playtime. Yeah. Kids tend to form a better connection with their parents when they can play with them.
Okay.
Because remember, for children, the way that they learn how to interact with the world is through play. And so you get to know more about your children when you join them in their play. This is for babies, toddlers, and for kids until probably around the ages of 8. Yeah, they interact mostly through play, so you want to join them and interact with them in as much as possible.
Okay.
In communicating with them, try and keep it as positive as possible. Yeah. So minimize your shouting. Yeah. If you're shouting, you're taking that stress to your kids, and then it just becomes a whole mess.
Yeah.
So minimize shouting. Try to talk to them in a very calm voice. When you want to correct a certain behavior, face the child, tell them what you're frustrated about, what behavior that you'd want them to correct. So you want to be direct with them as possible. And it's also very important to remember that we tend to achieve more with rewards and praise than we do with punishment.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So instead of saying, nitakuchapa ukifanya blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
Give them an opportunity for choices and let them know what the consequences will be. I would like you to step away from the TV, or I would like you to step away from that cupboard. Yeah? Or else we will take away your phone for the next 2 hours. Okay? Or if you don't step away from the TV, then I'm going to have to switch it off for the next 3 hours. So you want to help them understand what are my choices, and what are the consequences.
Yes.
So in relating with them, you want to try and make sure that that your conversations are as positive as possible. When you're working with teens, help them stay connected. Yeah. Remember that teenage is a period of individualization, so we don't want to hang out with mom and dad all the time. Yeah. Teenagers identify more with their peers than they do with their parents. It's not that there's anything wrong with them. It's not that they don't want to hang out with you. It's the stage. And you want them in as much as possible to have that. Okay? So help them stay connected. Allow them to video chat with their friends, of course, during appropriate times and things like that. Allow them to video chat with their friends if they can. Allow them to, in as much as possible, find a way to interact with their friends in ways that are safe and healthy for them. And also try and engage them in the things that they like to talk about.
Okay.
Let them talk to you about their music without you judging and saying, yeah, that music, it's so noisy, see, whatever.
It is demonic.
It's demonic. Yeah? Try and engage with them. Find out the things that interest them. What are they following up on social media? What is the challenge? It's push-ups challenge. Do the push-ups with them. Yeah. Or it's dancing to something, or they're singing to a song. Join them in doing those challenges.
Okay.
So help them stay as connected as possible.
There's a question here. Says, how do you deal with the question that many children may ask? The question is God angry with us? We can't keep telling them, I'll answer you later, hoping that by the time they come back, we will know what to tell them. So how do you teach them to trust God during this time?
Yeah. That's a tough one. That is more of a pastor question than a psychology question.
Are you throwing it back to me?
So I
think we can find stories in the Bible that can help us answer questions like that. A good story would be like the story of Job. because Job had not done anything wrong.
Yeah.
In fact, God was bragging to the devil about Job, and the devil challenged the faith of Job, saying that it was connected to all these things.
Yeah.
And Job had to go through a test.
Yes.
And the story of the children of Israel in Egypt, and all these plagues came, and they need to know that God is love.
Yes.
And this is not because God is punishing us. No. It's simply because we have evil men and women on the face of this earth.
Yes, we do.
It's just the way when a thief
Life
comes to your house and steals something, does it mean that God is punishing you? So we have to break it down and use everyday examples. Do you think God loves you better than the person on the street? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Some things it's because of choices we make, and choices come with consequences. If you're careless with a knife and you cut yourself, does it mean that God is punishing you? I think we need to learn how to break it down to into manageable pieces that they can bite and understand. Because the reality is God is not punishing us.
Yeah.
God found a solution for sin. The Bible says the wages of sin is death, and Christ became the one who died on the cross for us.
That's true.
So sin has a solution, and Christ paid the price. So God is not angry with us.
Yeah.
And some things are happening to set the stage for prophecies that have already been spoken about in the Bible.
That's true.
And for us, it's to trust in God and to look to Him and to stay faithful to Him.
That's
This
true.
too will pass. He protects His people.
He does. He does for sure.
Yeah.
And another thing to remember is Wahenga walisema every cloud has a silver lining. And there is a silver lining to this.
Yeah.
Parents are getting to spend more time with the children. That's one.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're getting more time to just sit down and reflect. I mean, before this, I can't remember the last time I could get 7 hours of sleep at night.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And psychologists say if you're not getting 7 hours of sleep at night, you're running on a deficit. Yeah.
Really?
And so you're straining yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
So we're getting also the time to rest. We are getting the time to reflect.
Yes.
Yeah. We're getting the time to slow down, taking the time to protect ourselves. We're even getting the time to appreciate ourselves, because a lot of people don't realize what a privilege it is to say, I am quarantining myself. And you're staying with the house, and you have your steamer, you have your running water, you have your Wi-Fi, and you have a fridge full of food. Full of things. That is a blessing in itself. Yeah, for you to be able to sit down and say, the fact that I'm able to have this, I can appreciate.
Yeah.
And I think it's also a time for us to, when we're sitting down and reflecting at the things that we are able to afford, to also think about those ones who are not in a position to afford all these things, and think about donating to churches. A lot of churches right now have food drives and campaigns to help those in church and in their neighborhoods who are not able to help themselves. So think about also giving back. Yeah.
I love what you're saying, because it also presents us with opportunities to teach our children.
Yes.
We were having a conversation earlier on, and I was saying it's amazing when you look at the nations that we look at as the mighty nations of this earth, whether it's the Chinese or the Americans or the Germans and all these other people, and they have resources, and they have military muscle, but they're overwhelmed.
They are.
I mean, they're overwhelmed. They're asking for doctors from this side of the world to go and assist them. And I think it's a lesson for us even to teach our children that sometimes we place so much focus on things.
Yes.
But ultimately, life, the fact that we are alive and we are healthy, that is the greatest blessing
of all. Yeah, that's
because
true.
there are people now, right now in hospital, and they have a lot of money, but it's not helping them.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a good lesson, and even what you've talked about, sharing with the community and sharing with others.
Yes.
I think those are good lessons, and we need to look at both sides of this whole issue, not just look at the negative side.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's right.
Our time is almost up. I know you have something else up your sleeve that you haven't shared with us.
I think we've talked a lot about a lot. I was just going to say that WHO has come up with a structure for healthy parenting where they give very good tips.
Yeah.
And if you're struggling, you can go online and see that there are very many resources.
Yes.
There are things Amazon, for example, their app the app that's called Audible has made children books free.
Yes.
Yeah, so you have a lot of resources to keep your children busy if you're looking for things for them to do, or you're thinking, how do I parent in a way that is most effective during this time. So you're not alone, and there's so many resources out there. There's so many things that you can do. If you're struggling in any way, if you're, for example, a parent who struggles with mental health issues, and this time is particularly stressful for you, make sure that you're getting in touch with your counselor. I am a therapist, and I've been conducting teletherapy with most of my clients at this time. So reach out and say, today I'm struggling. Can we talk? Yeah, that is important also.
Okay.
Yes.
Even as we wrap up, I'm just thinking. We were having this conversation last week, and we were saying, when you told this will take 6 months. Somehow you're able to adjust your mind and to accommodate the 6 months. So you have like a hope.
Yes.
You have like a countdown of sorts. This is a situation when we don't know when we are going back to school.
No.
Yeah. I don't know when we are going back to school. I don't know when the curfew will end. I don't know when this thing will be defeated. So how do you communicate that to the children when they ask questions, when are we going back to school? Daddy, curfew in back at school, Gani. How do you give them an answer without creating more anxiety?
Yeah. This is a good time to teach patience that sometimes it's just impossible to have all the answers. It is okay, even as a parent, not to know the answers. And say, we'll be patient and we'll wait. When it's time, when it's safe outside, then we can go to school. When the minister says that people are recovering well and there are no more infections, then we can go to school. And for us to ensure that we can get to a period where we're able to go to school, we'll stay at home, we'll protect ourselves so that we're not getting infected and overwhelming the hospital resources and all that, so that we flatten the curve and we can go to school. So you can have a conversation about what it is that it's going to take for us to go back to our normal day-to-day schedules. Yes.
There is a possibility of a lockdown.
Oh, yes.
That's the possibility that is there.
Yes.
And is it something we need to start talking about to our kids? Or do we wait? If it does, then we'll talk about it. If it doesn't, we escaped that one. What are your thoughts concerning that?
I think it's important to prepare themselves, to start preparing them for a lockdown. Say, this is what might happen. We might have to go for 3 weeks without leaving the house at all. Not to go to the supermarket, not to go anywhere. That we'll lock ourselves in here for 3 weeks. Okay, so can we begin to create like an activity bank? What are the things that we want to do if, for example, we are caught up in a situation when we can't, where we can't leave the house? Do we have enough candles, for example, if electricity goes out? Do we have enough food? Okay. Or how do we make sure that we stretch the food that we have right now to sustain us through the 3 weeks we were not able to go outside? What kind of schedules do we want to come up with so we can keep busy? And we're not feeling overwhelmed by staying inside? How do we want to work on our relationships so that during the time that we're in here, we're not constantly jabbing and fighting with our brothers and sisters, and we create a home environment that is conducive, that is peaceful, so that we're not all getting overwhelmed.
I like that idea. To prepare and to have a plan. If we happen to go in this direction, this is how we will live for 3 weeks without leaving the house. I like that. I like that. Wow, Faith, imagine our time is up.
Wow, that was fast.
Our time is up. But thank you so much for those tips. I will implement some of them within my own house.
Good.
Because I think they're really, really helpful. Some things we don't take for granted.
That's true.
I think we can maximize on this opportunity that is stacked up in a virus. And just pull the best parts out of it.
That's true.
With the situation that we have to face. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, thank you.
Mzazi, I hope you've gotten some information that has helped you to parent better in this season. Let's continue working together. Let's be a source of encouragement to our children. Like Faith said, we are their heroes. And so if we look overwhelmed, we pass on that anxiety to them. Let's be careful what we're exposing them to. I like the ideas of coming up with activities. Let's prepare ahead. We've seen how other nations have tackled this thing and some of the things they have they have had to do. We may probably need to go in that direction. So let's start preparing. Let's talk to our children, and let's be that source of encouragement and cushioning for them, and help them with their schoolwork. Was just a video games the whole day.
Yeah,
That's all the
for
time
sure.
we have for
Yes.
Parenting Tuesday this morning.